And we're I'm just seeing Ruben. So like a green Tribble now, like a pastel green Tribble.
I didn't
These
have a pink
Tribbles just
blanket.
keep getting larger and larger.
I love it. We
I'm
have
not
a Tribble.
fat. I'm just a house.
We have a Tribble. We have a genuine Tribble. A different pelt than the traditional Tribble pelt that you see here. Would it be
The
called a
short
pelt?
hair Tribble.
Would we call it is a Tribble's fur a pelt? Is that right? Could that
I
be
mean,
right?
once you take it off.
That's the once you take it off. Yeah.
And are all the furs on Klingon? Oh my gosh! I just had a realization. Like anytime Klingons have fur,
Is it Tribble hair?
is it Tribble?
I don't think so, because they have more like a
I'm sure they.
fur type attire in Enterprise, and that would have been before they encountered Tribbles.
I'm sure.
Because we see the origin of the Tribble in that short tracks that everyone hated, but I thought it was kind of goofy and fun. But
I'm sure there's big furry creatures that Klingons have to kill in order to gain honor or something.
Yeah, there's even Targs, right?
Yeah,
Targs have
Targs,
fur
that
and
was it,
stuff like that. And so yeah. Okay. Calm down, Starfleet boy.
I mean, a few pelts could probably be.
I have to publicly say to the audience that right before this broadcast, I uncovered beef that Fathery has with me. That's legitimate beef. It's not even like beef that I could disagree with. So I just wanted to publicly apologize and say I will watch it. I promise, Fathery, so that we can lift my recommendation ban.
Harley Quinn?
Yes, I haven't watched it.
yeah,
Father recommended it like 2 years ago. No
really
joke,
awesome.
like 2 years ago. And I was trying to recommend 12 Monkeys to him. And he was like, oh, damn, I wanted to watch that show. And now I can't because I have a beef with you. So
I don't watch Starfleet Boy recommendations because he doesn't watch mine.
All right, we got to lift this ban. We're going to work on this. But anyways, welcome back, gentlemen. Thank you for coming and being so nice to me, Father, even though you have this legit beef with me. So thanks for coming back another week. And audience, we have a cool group of folks already in the chat saying hello. Welcome. We got Uncle
You haven't
Arthur.
seen the 4chan forum that Fathery runs about you?
Oh, no. Don't do this to me. I don't even know what 4chan is. No, I do know what it is, but I've never been there. I've only been to Reddit, which is like a little bit
That's the
less,
gateway to 4chan, right?
It's the gateway. Yeah. Anyways, welcome Cake is Eternal, Benjenium. I saw Jill's here as well. We got a nice group of folks. Joel, yay, Joel's here. And Wolfgang Samuel Kirsch, thank you so much, everyone in the audience. We'll try to get to your comments and stuff like that, but I guess who wants to do the episode summary for this one?
I'll do it.
Yeah. That'll help me pull up the slideshow, which I forgot to load. So thank you, Father.
I can do it, but only in original Tribble.
Okay, you do it in original Tribble, and then I'll translate. So once upon a time, there is some grain being hauled through outer space, escorted by the Enterprise. And then they encounter a Klingon ship in pursuit of Cyrano Jones. And Cyrano Jones is in trouble again. He was dealing in tribbles, which he claims have been augmented and no longer reproduce at a high rate. But the Klingons are mad, and they have a new technology that can immobilize entire ships.
Holy shit!
And it turns out that Cyrano Jones stole their creature, the Tribble Predator, the Gomer, what's it called?
Glommer. The Glommer.
Glommer, yeah.
Glommer.
So the Tribbles start eating the grain, and instead of reproducing, they just grow extremely large. And Kirk reluctantly saves Cyrano Jones by beaming the giant Tribbles to the Klingon engine room. Dr. McCoy fixes the Tribble augmentation so they no longer grow gigantic, and he slows down their metabolism. And Cyrano Jones turns over his Glomer back to the Klingons.
Oh wow.
And that's the end.
All right. Thank you, Tribble, for your
Done.
I think
Team
the
effort.
Tribble is gonna unmask us.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. Good. I was
Sweet baby
impressed
Jesus.
that was like some serious improv sketch
I liked
comedy
it.
going
I liked
on
it. The
here.
timing was right.
I don't think I've ever had that on Starfleet Boy quite like that. So that's why I was like kind of like I was very impressed. That was cool. Good job, Father and Ruben. Let's get right to it. What did you guys think of this episode? I'll just start by saying real quick that I love this episode. I was laughing. I was in stitches. It's a very funny episode. I was just telling the sub commander before, this could have worked in live action. I could have seen it also working as an episode, and he said that it was actually pitched, but it was denied. So yeah. TOS is loss. TAS is gain. But why don't you go first, Sub Commander? What'd you think?
Oh yeah, no. Unlike the other ones, this is one I had seen before. This was I had the VHS of this and the Infinite Vulcan, kind of two shows on one tape. I received that as a kind of a gag gift in high school, and I watched it a lot of time. Eventually threw that VHS cassette away. But yeah, this is a very fun episode, and unlike the other episodes we've had so far, there is humor in this one. So you get to hear something a little different from the actors. Yeah, no, it's fun that they brought back Stanley Adams as Cyrano Jones. It's the character of Koloth, even if it's not voiced by William Campbell. But no, there are some legitimately kind of fun little. I mean, it's goofy, but there are some legitimately fun little moments. I think my favorite is when I don't even remember what he says. Spock says something that's kind of in a way very unfunny. Yeah,
Was
and
it
the sense of humor thing is that
when he suggests to beam over the Tribbles, yeah, and he's and he's like, "You're right, we don't have a sense of humor."
We don't. And then Kirk gets his own eyebrow raised in. So little moments like that, or when Kirk finds the massive Tribble up the Jeffries tube. You didn't get this one, Bones, and yes, I did. Watch out! And of course, it explodes, and he's covered in the Tribbles again, along with that goofy music. I mean, very entertaining 24 minutes out of my morning, and some nice continuity. Yeah, I don't know why the Tribbles are all pink, but they pop that way, so
yeah,
that's okay.
totally
and actually, some really nice shots of the Klingon ship. I thought those were some good visuals. I mean, not visuals, but some just nice appearances of that. So, yeah, I liked it quite a lot.
And the weapon was pretty cool. The new weapon, I thought, like, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Ruben, what you or Father? Well, you kind of gave the summary, but Ruben, go ahead and go next with your thoughts, and then Father, you can finish us off because I imagine that we watched it together recently, so I feel like that's a good place to go next. Go ahead, Ruben.
I don't mean this in a bad way, but this was the first episode that kind of reminded me this was a Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh, interesting.
Whereas a couple of the other episodes, I was like, this could actually be a really cool, hour long. This one, I was like, oh, they nailed the Saturday morning vibe from start to finish. A lot like some Commander said, it was a very fun episode. Definitely a lot of funny moments. A lot of interesting things. I have questions about Klingon strategy, sending a ship like that by itself without an escort. But that's another story for another day. But I enjoyed the episode. It was fun. It was. I wish they would have colored the Tribbles a different shade, but that's just a little nitpick. The pink was a little off for me, but a little too
I've
crazy.
been looking for pink Tribbles, and I'm sure you
I
can
have
find
one.
them online.
I
have one?
Oh,
I
nice.
could go grab it in a moment, I guess, if
Oh,
you
cool,
want me
okay.
to. But
Go ahead.
do you have anything else, Ruben?
No, it was fun. I mean, I have other thoughts for later, but overall, like my initial thoughts, yeah, it was just a fun episode. It was cool seeing Klingons. It was cool seeing the ships, the D7, and like that. I kind of love that top angle one shot where it's shooting the things. That was a really cool
Yes,
shot.
yeah.
And Koloth too. It would have been awesome to get the original voice back, but you can't do it all. Or Scotty, it would have been awesome if James Doohan could somehow just replicate the voice because the guy's like some sort of voice genius. But
he's an accent genius,
episode.
I think.
Yeah, well, what is James Doohan doing the voice of Koloth?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, totally.
oh, it is really okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Funny.
that was the best he could do, I guess. But it's interesting. Speaking of Koloth, in Deep Space Nine, Jadzia said Koloth wished he could have face Kirk in battle, but he actually does kind of face, the Enterprise in battle here. So I just assume that Klingons have like a bunch of different words for battle. Like the universal translator might not always translate. Like he's like, no, like he wanted like a ground battle to the death, not like a little space skirmish. But yeah, I think this episode it's a fun watch. It's definitely, I could see one, that kids would really gravitate to, unlike maybe some of the other more adult concepts that are thrown around in the animated series. This is one that would definitely have like a lot of appeal to the younger audience. I think Trouble with Tribbles is an episode that has a lot of appeal to children. I guess like my only problem with it is just like having to accept the coincidence of like the next time Cyrano Jones pops up, there's also like Klingons involved and also like the grain involved again. It's just like so much like the same stuff happening.
No, it's Quinto Triticale. It's Quinto. It's totally different. It's not Quadro.
Right.
Yeah,
it's not Quattro. It's Quinto. But the way that I forgive that is I just tell myself like, oh yeah, it's like the early 70s. A lot of people like they didn't have the options we do to I can just watch the Trouble with Tribbles whenever I want. So it's in a way, it's kind of a way of like, oh, you remember that like fan favorite episode that everyone loved? Like here, you kind of get to relive it again in the animated series. So I'm glad that David Gerald got his cameo. He's actually the transporter chief beaming Cyrano Jones over near the beginning of the episode. They drew the transporter guy to look like David Gerald. He was supposed to get a cameo in Trouble with Tribbles, but I guess they thought he looked he looked too scrawny. He was like this little skinny dude. Yeah, very
at the time.
Very young. So I guess they thought he looked, he didn't look adult enough or big enough to be a Starfleet officer. But he got to cameo in More Trouble, More Tribbles, or More Tribbles, More Trouble, whatever the name is, and then also in DS9 Trials and Tribulations. So
and the motion picture. He's an extra. Yeah. So,
but he had to do his Tribble cameo twice after being denied the first time. So that's cool. But yeah, I think this is the first we see of Klingons in the animated series. So that beautiful D7 ship that I love. I think it also might be the first time in universe we see it shoot torpedoes out of that the opening on the front of it. Matt Jeffries originally intended that to be the deflector when he designed the ship for the original series. But the motion picture, they do the same thing here. They have like torpedoes coming out the front of it. So I'd like to think that like this established that in canon before the motion picture.
And David Gerald, I didn't even notice.
There he is.
Yeah,
looks like him.
That's very cool.
Yeah, of course, like getting Stanley Adams back was cool, and I like the idea that like they're dealing with like genetic engineering here, which they never really got into like DNA in the original series. It's still like a very new thing in real life. In the 1960s, Khan is supposed to be like this genetically enhanced Superman, but the way they talk about it in the original series, he's more just like a product of like selective breeding.
Right. Whatchamacallit?
Eugenics.
Yeah. So the Koloth actually calls the Glommer, he calls it like a Klingon, a genetic construct. And then like the idea of like, Cyrano Jones had somehow like kind of like manually altered these tribbles, and then McCoy is able to do like the better job that Cyrano Jones couldn't do. So I think this is the first time we actually get like into like DNA, a type of like genetic engineering stuff, which is a huge thing in science fiction now. In 1972, it would have been very new and cutting edge. So I think it's the first time we get that in Star Trek,
and that gives a nice canonical reference or credence to the Klingons messing with stuff like that in Star Trek Discovery as well. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, they dabble with that in Enterprise.
Oh yeah, that's right, with the augment as well. That's right. Yeah, Klingons are probably changing themselves all the time. That's interesting. They're probably really. It's interesting. Yeah, I never thought about that, but
yeah, it would be neat to. I mean, that's a great point. Actually, I know in the original series, they mentioned chromosomes and in that which survives, and I know the discovery of the double helix was, I think, in the late 50s or the early 60s. So yeah, it was quite recent. It makes me wonder if something happened like in the early 70s where maybe there was some potential, or whether they were just creative and were looking forward to the future. But it's neat, and I see in the chat.
In the 70s, didn't the 70s have a lot of what were known as test tube babies? Like they were experimenting with a lot of that?
I don't know. I think test tube baby is the term for like oh gosh, I don't know enough about this, but it's like babies that are born through the in vitro process or something like that, where
Yeah, see, 19. Well, it's
I don't know,
1973. The
but
show came
it's
out
not like
72.
they're not clones or anything like that. Those are just babies that are they're just fertilized and incubated
Yeah.
outside.
See, I mean, right
womb.
in the 70s,
I don't think
you
we can
have
do that today. I mean, you still need a womb.
you have the
you
first
definitely
need a
recombinant,
uterus.
recombinant DNA. You
There
have
are
the first
people working on
animal
it though,
gene
which will be
clones.
interesting. Like, can you imagine future humans born from like egg-shaped womb things that like that like so like we go from whatever. I don't want to. It's too much.
No,
too
it's
much.
a great.
It's like-
I would push hard for getting us to be able to like clone ourselves, without any brain tissue, so we can
No
harvest them
clones-
for body
no
parts.
clones
I
of
need a new
Straffley
knee.
Boy.
I need a new left knee. If I could
Yeah.
grow an atom and get my left
The
knee
70s,
back.
the 70s saw the first recombinant DNA, the first animal gene clones, DNA sequencing,
Oh,
first
the goat.
genetic
There's a
engineering
goat. I remember
company.
reading about that.
All that happened in the 70s.
I guess they could.
So
I know we're
there
really
was
off
stuff
track,
that they were
but-
pulling from.
I guess they could do stuff like, do recombinant DNA like in bacteria, like introduce some genes into the bacteria
right.
genome. So, even like phosphorescence that was from a different creature and put that in the bacteria, and then it persists after
right.
replication. But anyhow.
So for sure, these writers, they're reading up on whatever crazy science is out at the time, and they're like, "Hey, we can make."
That's
fat
wild that
tribbles."
we went there. But yeah, I mean, it does. It's an interesting thing about the Klingons. Good good side topic there. I don't know enough about it. I shouldn't have brought it up, but I think it is in vitro fertilization, but I have to look it up. I feel so bad. I read articles about this stuff, but it's been years. What did you guys think of this other the scout ship that Cyrano was in?
I don't like the scout ship, but I love the robot ship that hauls the grain. And Mike Okuda had that used in the TOS remastered episodes. I think it's in Charlie X. It's the what was that ship? The Antares.
I think it's
Antares.
the Antares. Was it used in that, or was it used as the ore freighter in Ultimate Computer? I don't know. Maybe it was
both. I believe.
Okay.
And they've
It's
also
interesting.
used it in lower decks.
He did come up with this design, Matt Jeffries, before the Enterprise design, when he's just kind of like
interesting.
spitballing spaceships in general. And he always held on to it, but it actually precedes the Enterprise design.
It looks like a Geek Filter, by the way. Aaron Harvey in the audience. Nice to see you there. Happy Saturday. Says it's one of Mike's favorite Trek ships. So Mike Okuda. That's very cool. It is a cool ship. I am glad that the Enterprise looks like she does. She looks more like a hot rod and not less like a like a spaceship. But
Yeah, it has kind of like a submarine-y, battleshipy sort of, traditional classic Pacific Theater naval kind of vessel vibe to it.
Oh yeah, I do see that too. The other ship though, the scout ship, I liked it. I thought it was cool. It had like a really neat silhouette. It felt like also like a bit like a like a submarine. Those like I guess in James Bond, like those smaller submarines or whatever. I don't know, but it's cool. It does have a deflector in the front, which is cool too. But I love the little battle sequence, and I think again it feels like the show's. I don't know if I'm just getting used to the style, or it is in fact getting tighter, but it does feel like the performances are getting a little bit more like interactive and natural. I don't know. It's cool. What did you guys think?
Shatner has some interesting line deliveries in this episode that I think are pretty good. Like when he's, trying to illustrate Kirk's frustration with Cyrano. Like when he's talking to Koloth, he's like, "I can't believe I'm saying this, but as much as I hate to admit it, he is a Federation citizen, so I am obligated to protect him." And I thought Shatner is good at that stuff, and then. I think McCoy had a funny DeForest Kelly moment.
The first Klingon to step aboard this ship will be the last Klingon.
Oh yeah, when he's talking tough to Koloth. That's how you got to deal with the Klingons, though. Like you gotta like
going strong.
My dog's agreeing with me, but yeah, like you can't just act like you're intimidated by them. You gotta show them that you're brave and you're willing to throw down.
We get Koloth, which is pretty iconic as far as if because now he's grown such a huge fan base in the Trek fandom itself, so, and also like in the future people are fans of his too because they hear about of his glories. But Kirk kind of they actually, it has to be a battle, right? Because like, or I don't know what skirmish or whatever, but Kirk outmaneuvers him in that cool maneuver with the grain ships, and I loved all that stuff where he was like, right now, someone was like, oh, the grain, and he was like, right now the Enterprise is foremost on my mind, and I like that he was like prioritizing. But it was a really cool maneuver too, like where he has the grain ships coming at the Klingon ship from two different sides, so they have to, and then this weapon's cool too that it can fire this way. Like I don't think we've seen this.
The Klingon should have taken over the entire Federation by this point with that weapon. You send one of those ships in with two other ships escorting it, and you've wiped out the entire Starfleet in like a matter of days.
I mean, it is a pretty powerful weapon.
And it's a great effect too, seeing that kind of the circles and the bright white light. I love that moment.
And what did it do? It like basically neutralized
everything,
right?
Yeah, weapons,
which we just saw something like that, like a compact version of it on Star Trek Lower Decks this week. So that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, something about like all higher field functions or something like this phasers. I mean, it obviously didn't eliminate life support, of course, and that's a pretty common theme to have like a really powerful weapon, but it takes a lot of energy, whether it's your cloaking device or those Romulan kind of plasma things from Balance of Terror. It's like, yes, it's an overwhelming weapon, but there's a limitation, so it's not going to disrupt the universe too much.
Mm-hmm. And they explain that it's not practical, so that's why the Klingons don't keep using it. I love that they stick that line of dialogue in there at the end, like, okay, like no future Klingon stories are obligated to use this kind of OP weapon.
yeah.
I love this still because of the way Captain Kirk is standing here. And then later you see him he keeps like kicking a bigger and bigger Tribble out of his seat. So that was a cool gag. I like that they had a thought to it.
Well, it's it's a classic comedy thing is to have repetition like that. And I think I'll stand.
I don't know where my Tribbles are. I guess Antonia, like sometimes like she gets embarrassed of all the childish stuff I have in our living room, and she tries to hide some of it. But I have some Tribbles, some stuffed animal Tribbles that I keep on our couch, because if someone like sits on them on accident, they'll like make like the Tribble shriek noise, and I think that's hilarious. But yeah, they seem to be hidden at the moment.
Oh, nice connection. Geek Filter, Aaron saying the Klingon weapon in the first episode of Discovery feels like it's related. Nice, yeah, Sonic stuff. Like there's like, yeah. Oh, very cool, very cool. What did you guys think of the whole like colony being? I thought that was coming later with the BEM thing, but I guess they introduced it here, and I thought that was neat that they were already like talking
David Gerald really liked the concept of colony creatures.
Colony creatures, yeah.
I've never connected those dots before, but yeah, they're both episodes written by him.
So yeah, I thought that was interesting, and it was cool that the solution led to my favorite gag in the episode, which was when Kirk is like, "You forgot this one, Bones."
Yeah, of course it has to end with Kirk being covered in Tribbles. But at least now he's able to, kind of smile and laugh at it.
We get a follow up to the trouble with Tribbles. Cerno was supposed to be cleaning up K7, and so we find out that that's how he did it, was with this glommer. But like that one glommer, like it still would have taken like 2 years, right? Like it was insane. Like there's no way Cerno was up to some naughty crap. I think he was like transporting Tribbles out into space or something.
How did he get the glommer? I mean, if he was stuck on the station, how did he even
he must have had someone like smuggle it across the well, I guess, do they have the neutral zone at this time? I assuming the neutral zone was established with like the Treaty of Organia or whatever, like he had it smuggled across the border to him, to K7.
Mariu's asking, was that why the bird of prey couldn't fire while cloaked? Too much energy? I think it's a similar concept. Yeah, very nice connection. And I like all these connections. It's cool. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a cool thing. Maybe Klingon technology, because it's probably like basically lethal and hot wired, to give the maximum effect, isn't so good at like conserving energy and or something like that. I'm being very anti-Klingon. Sorry.
You are. They had warp technology before humans, so Klingons are pretty advanced technologically.
No, and I'm cool with Klingons. I was like Kirk, and I learned that I was wrong. People can change, Father.
I was used to hating Klingons.
Welcome back, Ruben. We thought we lost you.
Yep, misclick.
I like the Glommer though.
Yeah, it's a cool and it's a cute. I've seen Glommer plushies.
Yeah,
and they're very cute. Do you have that too?
No, I keep thinking about buying one. I think I almost bought one in Vegas actually, just a month or two ago when I was at Star Trek Las Vegas, but I ended up not getting it.
I thought it was very cute that they didn't actually show the Glommer eating the Klingon, and they cut away to McCoy saying, "Well, at least it's neat." And it's like, oh, that's sweet. So the kids don't get too freaked out.
And then you see it trying to eat like oversized ones.
Yeah,
like
I do laugh when it's running from the giant one, and it does like the animation thing where like like the legs have like that little wheel effect.
Yeah.
I have that screenshot. I'll try to find it here. Jill wants to know, is the Tribble trill or the Klingon shriek? I think the Tribble trill. But
well, the Tribbles, I have the alternate between both sound effects, but
it'll make it does do the shriek.
It'll do like the cooing.
Mine doesn't do any of it,
and then it'll do the
it doesn't
shriek.
do any of that, but it is really cool. I love my Tribble.
It's a dead Tribble that ate the poison grain. That's fine.
Oh no!
That's what it is.
Well, it just needs some of Benedict Cumberbatch's super blood, and it can be brought back to life.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I actually, where is that slide? Number 11. Here we go. Oh, it's the next slide. Boom. I like this shot because it kind of reminded me of the framing around Dr. McCoy Into Darkness. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, like they're both kind of examining Tribbles, and like it's sitting on the desk there, and there's all these like instruments around him and stuff. Yeah, so I like this. So yeah.
I like that scene because he says like 4 times in quick succession, does McCoy, when he's like examining it. It's just, you keep waiting for them to cut away or for him to actually say something that's just
with the medical tricorder scanner thing, which is actually, I enjoy seeing someone holding it correctly, because in Strange New World, I love Strange New Worlds, but Dr. Mbenga always holds it backwards whenever he's scanning something. It kind of bugs me.
Jill wants to hear a Tribble shrieking, and I think I have the sound effect. I'll try to load it if I can find it, but you could definitely find it on.
I just put a link in the chat.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a 10-second clip of Tribble sounds.
All right, we'll share that in the here. Let me share that in the
yeah, they should have made that sound
chat
when that big Tribble was beamed aboard the Klingon vessel.
Well, these Tribbles might not be afraid of Klingons.
He had their vocal cords cut out so that they couldn't shoot.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and dyed pink. It was all a byproduct of the genetic engineering.
The pink dye actually eroded their vocal cords so they couldn't.
So there's a troublesome thing, I guess. I'm sure Sub Commander hasn't seen it, and I don't know if Ruben's seen it, but how does the trouble with Edward fit into this, Fathery? I guess he's going to go try to get his.
He's still in pursuit of Tribbles.
We'll come back to that, or maybe audience, and maybe Aaron has thought about this. But like, where, like, how does the? I guess it takes place much further before. I guess it does. It's from Star Trek Discovery. Never mind. I answered my own question.
Don't ask Aaron about the trouble with Edward, because as I recall, he hates
that episode.
Yeah.
Well, it's not my favorite.
Despises it.
Who?
Dave,
Dave?
does.
Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
Dave is like, oh, that was the worst piece of Star Trek I've
Well,
ever
I
seen.
answered my own question. That is the origin of the Tribbles. So they were originally,
They
yeah.
existed before. I mean, we see a Tribble in Enterprise. Dr. Phlox
Oh,
has
okay.
one. What Edward does is he gives it the rapid breeding with
Right.
the
So Tribbles
genetic
have
augmentation that he does to it, and then he's also responsible for it going into Klingon space because the ship that gets overran with Tribbles in the Trouble with Edward crashes on a Klingon planet, and so apparently that's like the infestation in Klingon space begins there, and sometime between that moment, which would have been in the 2250s, and then this moment, which would have been in the late 2260s, the Klingons have genetically created a triple predator.
What is this trouble with Edwards?
it's a short trek. That's why I knew you hadn't seen
okay.
it, and I knew Sub Commander. So we won't spend too much time on it. Also, as supporters of Aaron Harvey, we here at Starfleet Boy ban the Trouble with Edward from canon as well. So we at Starfleet Boy will join you. I don't remember being terribly bothered by that episode, but I didn't like the characterization of Edward. Maybe because like it hit a little too close to home.
I didn't mind it that much.
You put too much in the link. The link has extra data there. It has a StreamYard.com something.
Oh, geez, I'm
not
sorry.
working, yeah.
Oops, Ruben, can you just post it? I think you have the little wrench. Just post it in the
Wrench?
chat. Yeah.
Where is
Sorry.
this wrench supposed to be?
No, it just means you could post links if you wanted to. I think I gave you the wrench.
I don't have a wrench. When do I get a
you'll
wrench?
get a wrench too. Hold on, I got.
I don't have anything to post, but
All right. While I work on the wrenches, but yeah. Anyways, so Dr. McCoy comes up with the solution. This was a cool little briefing scene, and we see the Tribbles like going about and the Glommer doing its thing and stuff like that. But there's another shot of the D7, and I love it. I love the green lights that they added to it, like the green like
Yeah, like the little nacelle bits.
yeah, or they would be
Yeah.
like similar to Bizarre collectors maybe. I don't know the ins and outs of a Klingon ship. But yeah, that's where I imagine
I love
those would
Klingon
be.
and Romulan.
and they have the symbol on it as well, right? That sort of that thing with the two curved spikes, and then you know what I'm talking about, the Klingon
Right, yeah,
symbol.
the Klingon,
I don't
yeah.
feel like that was on the ships in the original series. Maybe it was. I know it was in the background of a couple interior shots, but I don't feel like it was on the model.
I think it was actually on the model,
Was it?
just from what I'm remembering, because I don't have that one. I have the Katinga, which
Yeah.
is the one that you see in Star Trek: The Motion Picture and stuff, and it definitely has the livery that with that.
Livery,
But
yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, maybe it does, or maybe I know certainly the remastered does, but anyway, another project to look up.
yeah, totally. And yeah, I agree with Aaron. You could skip that episode of Short Treks. The humor's kind of like just lame. And Aaron's saying he was worried Lower Decks was gonna be like that. That's crazy. I'm sorry you were worried about that. I would have been worried too. Here they are eating the tetracali. No, did I say it right? No, it's not tetracali.
Quinto
tetracali. Quinto tetracali. Man, James Doohan. I can't say that 5 times fast. I don't know if any of you guys can, but James Doohan did it good.
Yeah, he had that one line. There's oh god,
There's like
Tribbles in the
3 or 4
Quinto Klingons in the quadrant, and I forget. There was like in threes. I forget what it was, but he did well.
Very funny. But yeah, they're towing the ship here. We get more shenanigans with the Glommer. This was funny when Kirk cut him out. And again, just the banter here was really good stuff. The writing and the
Uhura does this classic
really
trick
cool.
joke about throwing rocks at the other ship.
Yes, yeah.
I feel like I've heard that now like 3 or 4 times in different episodes. I'm pretty sure Tom Paris says it in a Voyager episode. Riker says it in the TNG episode.
And we all know that from TNG onward, actually, I guess from the films onward, there's rocks that come out of whenever you get hit, rocks fly out of all the panels. Because it's in Star Trek 2 also. I think there's rocks when the Reliant is getting hit. There's a really good explanation, a couple of good explanations for that. My favorite is that they turn into rock. Like it's all the fiber optics turn into like like these globs of like
They get fused by the
molten.
heat or whatever you're
Yeah,
saying.
and when they cool, they turn like dark and they look like rocks, and that makes
Hmm.
sense. I like that because
Sure.
there's a lot of like glass uh on a starship. So yeah, getting phasered, that glass would like melt and become liquid. So yeah, rocks.
Yeah. Well, I like that she had that line. It was nice
Yeah,
that
that
she
was really
was
cool.
involved in the humor.
And there it is.
Yeah. I
Like I
think
want to know how like he misses it hopping onto the chair.
Like, how did that Tribble get all the way to the bridge? And nobody said, security, we have a Tribble wandering the hallways.
But I guess this is where Ruben's assertion in the beginning of this feeling maybe more like a Saturday morning cartoon. The humor
Yeah.
does cross the line a little from what's believable to suspension. You have to suspend your disbelief and just go with it. But yeah,
Yeah, thinking about it, it may have been what prevented me from really trying to get into the animated series because this was the first one that I saw, and it was fun and entertaining, but you can't take it seriously.
Right,
It
and that's one of
does.
the things I've noticed rewatching this with you guys, that I was expecting coming into episode 1 that it would be like this.
Mm,
A little sillier, more Saturday morning cartoonish, but then I was like surprised at the first 4 episodes, like, oh, this is actually
yeah,
a
really
little bit,
straight.
not too much deeper because it is a Saturday morning cartoon, but like it wasn't sacrificing a little bit of kind of conceptual sci-fi stuff for the sake of being just a dumb kid show. And I don't want to
Yeah,
say dumb because even though this episode was kind of silly, it was still fun. Like it is with it's not, it wasn't meant to be a high concept episode or anything like that. So it was interesting. It was interesting that this to me was the first one that I was like, oh, this reminded me. Oh, this is a Saturday morning cartoon, isn't it?
yeah,
But not in a bad way. I love Saturday morning cartoons. So
yeah,
don't get me wrong.
absolutely.
well, and that being said, I mean, it's one. It's okay. It was like one instance in an episode
Right.
that was pretty reasonably Star Trek, like live action, like in terms of the storyline and like
Right.
the sciencey stuff and all the So like, yeah, it does cross the line that you wouldn't see maybe crossed on live action Star Trek, but not too bad. It's I don't like I could see like being turned off by it, like perhaps, but I don't think the whole show is like that. Like you'll see Sub Commander, I think like you'll find that it's very you'll very much think of these stories as part of the bigger story, if I may assume where your journey will
Well,
will
I mean, I've
go.
liked the first four. I thought they were very. There's a lot of dignity in the first few
I like
episodes
that
so far.
dignity.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's it. That's a good way of saying it. Yeah, but look at the like this
Beautiful
is a
shot.
cool, yeah,
Mm,
beautiful. Yeah, the animation is just something I really have fallen in love with. And again, I can't recommend enough that you guys check out Aaron and Rich Shepus's book. Aaron, if you could post the link to it, that would be awesome. I
Yeah,
can pull
there's
it up
the
on it.
logo you were talking about.
yeah, it's a good logo. I've always liked that. I've always
Hmm.
thought that was a creative logo.
That one is in the Franz Joseph technical manual. There's plates, like there's a portion
Hmm.
in the book that has these like color print plates
I
or
also
whatever you
love
want
that
to
the
call them.
Klingons are wearing purple
Yeah.
because I love purple. So they look cool. And I love that line at the end when the Klingons like, what is it? I forget what the like
Don't
subordinate
do that
Klingon says.
again. Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Any orders, sir? Don't do that again. I was like, all right, yeah.
ever.
Yeah, ever.
Oh, it looks like they also use the Klingon flag correctly on the D7, so that's pretty
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah, and it looked like to me that subordinate officer to Koloth had the curly hair that was reminiscent of the guy, I forget the actor's name now, who was in The Trouble with Tribbles, and then he appeared in the Next Generation episode just as a human, but the one who called the Enterprise the sagging old rust bucket, who was designed like a garbage scow, that guy. Korax, maybe? I can't remember his name. But it looked like in that scene at the end when Koloth is telling him, don't do that again, ever. It looked a lot like it looked like him, I think.
Yeah, it totally did. Wait, that's coming up over here. I think I have it. There it is.
Yeah, just curlier, kind of browner hair instead of
Yeah.
black hair. But yeah.
Don't do that. I like your impression of James Doohan's impression.
Yeah, very late.
um. Oh. Oh, you were talking about Korax. That's right. But I thought I had him screenshotted, but I don't. It's just the back of his head there. Mario says, I can definitely enjoy the nostalgic effect now, given most of the actors are gone and they are still Trek. Oh, interesting. Yeah, because, sorry, earlier, context here. I think that is why I didn't watch that much animated series, was what we were talking about earlier. So
Yeah, well, I'm wondering too, growing up, obviously, Star Trek fans were watching Star Trek 24/7 and as often as possible on VHS or whatever. But like a lot of people didn't watch TAS. Like TAS was kind of like the unspoken of series. And now I'm wondering is like, I think a lot of people just thought it was gonna be like a silly kind of Saturday morning cartoon and just kind of like said, whatever. I want more serious Trek, you know. And now, and now a lot of people are watching it because it's now on streaming and all this stuff, and fans want to be completionists and whatnot, and so and people are starting to realize, hey, this actually wasn't as silly or whatever you want to label it as maybe originally thought. I think that's why this show didn't really get the love it deserved for a long time.
I remember enjoying it well enough, like, I mean, vague memories, but enjoying it well enough as an actual kid. But I did get caught up later when I was like a teenager, and I did get caught up in the whole "is it canon or isn't it canon?" Debate. And I remember vaguely that I might have like used Gene Roddenberry as a talking point on that, because I think for a while he decanonized it or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But then he rescinded. Hopefully he rescinded it. If he didn't, I don't care, because I like now I've seen these stories, and maybe it is the nostalgia effect of wanting more stories with these characters and then revisiting these in more detail and realizing, oh wow, there's a lot of meat there. Like there's a lot there that they put into it that does continue the story of these characters with the performances by the actors that we've grown to love. So yeah, that combination, I think, is what solidifies it for me. But yeah, I did get involved in that, and I used to be the animated series is not canon person.
Yeah,
but,
I was the same way. If people go back to early Text Trek when we got started in 2016, 6 years ago, I was like frustrated that it was people were considering it canon. I know it's like now it's like one of my favorite Star Trek shows ever, and I'll defend it till my dying day. And I just remember getting so flustered because I was like, who is this Aaron Harvey guy who's going around like all these podcasts? I hear him on Women at Warp. He's like all over Trek FM. He's like going around talking about like, well, technically it is canon and blah, blah, blah. I was like, this guy, this dumb, silly show from the 70s. But then I reevaluated my feelings with the show around that time. It was streaming on Netflix, and I went and I watched it all, and I was like, you know what? There's a lot here to really love and appreciate. And it was obviously made like intended to be a serious continuation of Star Trek. And yeah, I mean, like the rules are like any like officially released show or movie are canon. And even if at some point in the 80s Gene was like, oh well, it's not canon, it's like, well, that's not really how it works. I mean, Gene also didn't want Star Trek 5 to be canon because he said like there's no way Spock can have a brother.
I can't let go Star Trek 5. It's not going off my canon list either.
I will always, for the rest of my life, I will always be thankful to Aaron, because he gave me like one of the best gifts that anyone can get, and that he basically like gifted me like a new like favorite Star Trek show. And it's like I would, if I count it as like a different show than the original series, and okay, it's probably like my third favorite. DS9 is always gonna be my number one, but I also love the original series, and then the animated series is kind of just like more original series, so it's definitely like in my top 3 Star Trek shows. And so Aaron, thank you so much for that. That's a gift I will cherish the rest of my life.
That was awesome. And Aaron was there to hear you, and he says, "Oh, thank you."
And really, by extension, I thank you too.
I'm not going to do my Aaron Harvey voice. I haven't tried.
Father, you got Starfleet Boy to do this, and now Starfleet Boy got me to do this.
So, yeah, the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. It's the gift tree.
Wow, this became like a Star Trek the Animated Series love fest real fast. Well, anyways, we're coming up on. I love this. I guess this is a good
Yes.
picture to end on. So
I love that. I love like the Kirk smirk there. It's like he's in on the joke. He's accepted. Like, okay, yeah, this is like silly. Like, I don't have to be like super serious Kirk all the
Right.
time. This isn't like the Kirk who's like racked with self-doubt in his quarters and balance of terror.
No.
You know, this is like Kirk, you know, kind of like having fun and kind of enjoying being the Starfleet captain. It's good to show that side of him too.
Did you screen cap Bones's massive eyebrow raise at one point? His eyebrow raise is like freaking.
Oh no, I
There's
don't
like
think
one
I
part where
did.
Bones is like.
I was trying to highlight like all the Tribbles and the Klingons this week. I didn't want to like do too many screenshots, but I think did I show this one. This is someone was mentioning how they like the cartoony run earlier.
Yeah.
The Scooby Doo run, yeah.
Yeah. But I guess I'll close it out and say that you know, watching it this time with a more analytical kind of like perspective, I just really found myself enjoying it a lot more, and I appreciate this episode more and more every time. So I'm gonna give this episode I can't give it a 10 because someone told me they'd be mad at me because if I gave this one a 10, I have to go back and give the Trouble with Tribbles a 10. Did I give Troubles with? Do you remember what I gave that? I thought I gave it a 10. I thought I gave everything a
I'd be
10.
Yeah,
right? Like yeah,
you surely
but
gave it a 10.
I thought I gave it a 10. Yeah.
No, he gave
I'll
it
have
an
to go-
11.
Did I? So it's a 9.9999.
Coward,
No, it's
give it
just-
a 10, Starfleet boy, coward. Joel.
All right, fine. It's a 10. I'll take the heat. But Ruben, anything else to add and give it some ratings and tell folks where they can find you?
Anything else to add? No, not really. It was a fun episode. I'm enjoying TAS. I'm glad I started this rewatch with you guys. It's been a fun little, sort of nostalgia trip because I did watch these way before, but I don't remember half of them. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Anyone can find me at rmartian on Twitter. I just posted an article with Katarina. I'm not gonna say her last name because I don't know how to pronounce it, but she is a music editor who worked on the J-Lo halftime documentary on Netflix. And as far as my closing rating, I'll end it in a song. I'm every tribble. They're all in me. You better
That's
be
very
careful.
colorful.
Eat your grain, baby.
Wow, you made Amos bark.
My
That's
dog
great.
does not like that.
Like
at
that's
all.
jeez.
That really pissed him off.
Evil is coming.
Sub Commander, what's going on in your world? Final thoughts on this episode and a rating, if you would.
Yeah, no, this was fun to watch. It brought back memories of watching it many years ago. Definitely not my favorite. It is a little silly, but it's still enjoyable, of course. And I don't know, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Not too much.
Wow. That's pretty good.
yeah.
Above a 5. Hey, I like
Above a
that.
5. Well, it's gonna be
Nice.
hard to give anything below a 5. Honestly, it's too hard. But yeah, not too much going on tonight for TOS Saturday night. I just checked. They're doing Journey to Babel. I don't think I'll be
Ooh.
up for that, but that's a classic. That's a 10 out of 10 episode if you're into original series Star Trek. And just follow me at Subcommander T and at Mr. Leslie TOS.
Awesome. And Fathery, why don't you close out the discussion with your thoughts, what you're doing, and
Amos wants to get some thoughts in there too. But
yeah. What did
as
Amos
far
say?
as my final thoughts on this episode, yes, of course, fun to bring back, the Tribbles, fun to bring back the Klingons, fun to bring back Cyrano Jones. My only complaint is, like how I said, it is extremely derivative of the exact same story. But given the time, it was a little bit more of an in style way to revisit something, pre home video and streaming and everything. So I can easily forgive that, and I would rank this episode 3 Federation mandates out of 47 local ones. And there's a 47 in here, so that was cool.
Oh wow, nice. Thanks for putting that in there in the discussion. That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't
As
catch
far
that.
as like my content or where to find me, We do the live Text Trek show every Friday night at 7
Last night was
p.m.
so much
Central.
fun. We had a good time.
Yeah, we talked about this week's episode of Lower Decks, our current animated Trek, and it was
You got to see Father on a
huge
love
delight.
fest. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to go back to DS9, my favorite Star Trek show. So my favorite show of the modern era, take me back to my favorite show of all time. And we'll continue to cover every episode of Lower Decks on Fridays. We'll be doing Prodigy on Fridays. When there's a break between Prodigy and Picard, we're going to be doing DS9. Speaking of DS9. So we've been going back and rewatching that with Dave, who's watching for the first time. I'm watching for the 47th time. That's been a lot of fun. And you can also listen to our show wherever you get your podcast if you'd rather enjoy it that way.
Absolutely. Starfleet Boy tomorrow, talking about that same episode of Lower Decks with Braxton and maybe PJ. We're not sure who's on, but sometimes different folks come on. So check that out tomorrow around 1 p.m. And then also, I just finished the 12 Monkey series, which I now have to watch. I have to go watch Harlequin so that I could get Father to watch it too. But I'm going to be podcasting with Trek on the Tube. We're going to do seasonal coverage on his channel, ABTG. So look out for that. But then on Starfleet Boy After Dark, I'm nuts for 12 Monkeys, the TV series. So I'm going to be doing something I've never done, is like edited videos and like analyses and stuff like that. I'll be going nuts on Starfleet Boy After Dark for 12 Monkeys. I'm officially invested in that world. I'm super hype about it, and I can't wait to talk about it. So if you like 12 Monkeys, or if you're interested in watching and you want to follow along, check that out look for news on that on Starfleet Boy After Dark. And that's all I got to promote. We're not doing a Trek Central this week, and we may not be doing one next week because the stream, but there will be, Father might be putting something together, so stay tuned for that, right?
There's not going to be a Trek Central next Sunday.
Right, or this Sunday. Either.
Okay.
Don't forget about breakfast.
Yeah, Father, go to the communication channels.
Breakfast
are you confusing the no New York Comic Con stream for a no like live show on that Sunday?
Oh, I don't know. Okay. All right. Stay tuned, audience.
Breakfast on Tuesdays.
Stay on track. Go subscribe to Trek Central and follow them, and you can be more accurate than I am. And if anyone from Trek Central is listening, sorry I got the schedule wrong. I'll go look again. Maybe I'm the one that has to go look.
Yeah, maybe,
anyways,
unless you know something I don't know, but yeah, we'll be talking about New York Comic Con Saturday night on Text Trek. Because it's going to be packed with Trek news. Picard, Discovery, and Amos is reminding me Prodigy also.
I was trying to get out of a big job to go, so I could go, and I cannot get out of my job. No one wants to take this photo gig. So unless you know a photographer in Miami who wants to take a wedding. But anyways,
breakfast
I'm
on
not going to be there.
Tuesdays.
So what's that?
Breakfast on Tuesdays. Promote the show. Your show.
Tuesday.
Oh,
sorry.
Go.
Wink, wink,
Okay,
nudge, nudge.
There won't
Like
be one.
breakfast,
You know why? Because I
Tuesday,
forgot.
breakfast.
Okay, it's called Second Breakfast, Ruben.
I know,
Second
but I didn't
Breakfast.
want to say the name so that you could promote it.
Thank you.
I was hinting. I should have been like eggs.
Join us on Tuesdays for Second Breakfast, but this Tuesday we won't be having a second breakfast, so that's why I didn't say anything.
Don't promote it.
So, but yes, normally we do. There was just an awesome episode of Lord of the Rings that dropped in, so that's also on Starfleet Boy After Dark. Starfleet Boy After Dark is where I do all the non-Star Trek stuff, so if you want to see what else is going on, go check that out. All right, thank you, audience. Thank you for sticking with us till the end and having to listen to that long that long promo there. Live long and prosper, and we will see you next time. Initiate Splinter